Everybody, back for another episode of Small Business Talk with Jerry. I'm Jerry still. So today we have four guests, which is a room full, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Denise is here with her crew. I'll let her introduce herself and we'll go around the room.
Yes, I'm Denise Fry with For Youth. I am the founder and I'm a drug prevention educator. And I teach parents how to talk with their kids about drugs. And I brought four dads that are in my current class workshop. I call it a workshop. It's very interactive. Oh, three dads. Oh my.
Drug education. Yes.
There's four of us. Three are dads. Thank you for the correction. And
There will be no algebra later.
they are. I call the workshop "Talk Early, Talk Often." And I just will let them introduce ourselves or themselves because I really, through the podcast, want to get their perspective on the workshop and what they're learning and lots of stuff like that.
I'm on deck.
All right, sir.
I am John. I have two girls, and I've lived in the Rochester area for my whole life. Briefly left for college, but yeah, just stayed here the whole time. Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah, that's me.
Perfect.
I work in town at Mayo, and kind of a nerd. I like Star Wars, Star Trek. I like computer games and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, pretty similar, but with a different name. I'm Nathan. I got three daughters though. They're like 5, 8, and 10. So I did that prime learning, and I can either learn with them or without them stage. So that's always very exciting. Been in Rochester 12 years or so. Work in town too. It's been pretty chill.
Awesome.
Bryant Fry. I'm Denise's son.
Do you do drugs?
I do not.
Well, then. It's working. It's working.
Yeah,
So
proof point.
I've got two boys who I think inspired her to get involved in this, which is good. She's put a lot more effort into their education on this topic than my education on this topic, but I did pretty well.
I'll tell you what, kids change your perspective. Grandkids change it again considerably. So I can, as being a new grandpa, I can tell you that's a whole. This ought to be another round of the same old thing. And yeah, it's different.
Like brand new grandpa, first grandkid or
first grandkid.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got the second one on the way, so they're catching up. But so this was new. I know I look like a seasoned grandpa, but it was new for me. So tell us about the workshop before we get opinions per se.
Yes,
but what is the workshop so people listening understand what we're going to talk about?
So the workshop is for parents.
Okay.
And I have to repeat that a lot for people. I don't know why, but a lot of people assume, maybe because I called it For Youth, a lot of people think I'm educating youth.
Oh, good point.
And so that's surprising to me, but I focus on the parents. I mean, I'd love to talk to youth too, but I really think because the parents have so much more time with the youth,
right, that
if they learn how to talk with their kids about drugs, that's going to be way more powerful than me talking to kids once or twice or something. Right. And it's not just about drugs. It's also about our brain development and kids' brains development. Because the challenge with talking to kids on the topic is their brains, like you can't scare them. Right. There's a lot of programs that they have proven don't work, like DARE. This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah, that was awful.
Just say no. So that it's actually been proven that you can't scare them. You can't just tell them all the dangers. You can't just tell them not to do it. Not that I mean, that's part of what they want to hear, but if that's all they hear, it doesn't work. And so it's neuroscience. It's, creating a good, basically, I forgot to mention, it's also targeted toward parents with kids 8 to 12.
Oh, okay.
So by 8, their brains are developed enough that they understand cause and effect, and they start to see outside themselves. and they wonder why people do things. Like, why do they make a smoke shop? Like, who would create that? They're asking questions already. In fact, you'll hear it's been interesting to hear the questions their kids are asking already, just kind of out of the blue. Very timely, too, since we're talking about the topic. And it's also about instilling in them that their life matters. Because if a child knows their life matters and they're here for a bigger reason, that's going to be really powerful for them to make that choice, not to say, oh, well, I heard that's dangerous, but I'm willing, my life isn't worth anything anyways. I just need an escape. So it's really understanding all those reasons and knowing what works and what doesn't work. And it's also a little bit, we haven't really talked about too much yet, but encouraging the natural highs. I always go to skydiving when I think of that, or motorcycle riding, which not all parents would want their kids to do, but it could be music or art. Getting
Sure.
the physical activity and all that is certainly good, and kids that are involved in sports are shown to have less prone to use drugs, but you just never know. And just in January, so a couple months ago now, I heard a DEA agent being interviewed, and he said that they now say social media is the #1 drug dealer in America. And these parents didn't grow up on social media.
Right.
So we're in they're the first generation to now be raising kids on social media. And so it's just seems like the time is right to, and there's nobody else that I know of doing what I'm doing where I'm really focused on the parents.
Sure.
There is literature out there that gets published, and they might go to a parent. There's parent workshops on the conversation, like how to build a better relationship with your kids.
Okay.
There's workshops that do that, but there's none that combine it with the drug education as well. Really understanding that.
Okay. So with all that information, which is a lot to take in, it's great. But so now tell me about the workshop. What are you guys doing with Denise? What is the workshop?
So each week, we kind of meet together. Denise has a topic. She'll teach us either about something related to drugs, obviously, either ones that are legal, not legal, how to talk to your kids, right? Which is kind of the biggest one. Basically, how to talk to your kids. Most people
How to get them to tune
parents-
in, not tune out.
Yeah,
That would, yeah.
it's really hard.
I keep looking at you through her talking, thinking you have 3 daughters, and you look like a great guy. I had 1 daughter, and I was a broken man. I tell you what, that's so. I mean, and now in this, I mean, she's 25. I couldn't. I mean, I'd be terrified to raise her at 5 to 12. I mean, so.
Especially with
all you
social
guys,
media and the internet around,
right?
like
That's what I mean.
I can't look sideways without wondering if something's popping up on her
Right.
tablet or someone's trying to communicate with her. Like that's
Yeah,
a
I mean,
real
you look so
concern.
normal. I would be just a ragged mess if I were over there. It's a
Right, you're just-
podcast. No, yeah, but so you guys actually get together. It's not just a
Yeah,
online or homework thing. It's
Yeah, she gets homework.
she gets
some
homework.
homework.
Oh,
yeah. Usually talking to our kids.
yeah. Well, fair enough.
Right, which is good, right? And
Absolutely.
then talking about how you talk about it and getting those learning cycles in,
Yeah.
which is nice. It's just telling your kids drugs are bad, probably not the most effective, right? I mean,
Right.
most people had parents that did the same thing. I certainly, that was the education I got.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked
the
for
DARE
me,
program.
so I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm 54, so my childhood came a little before your guys's, of course, but yeah, it was different then too. It was just for me, my dad was probably one of the best human beings I've ever known. Honestly, he was a stellar human being, but he always just tell me, you can't afford that. Now he'd always try to make some humor out of it, but here I am at 54, and I can still hear those words. So he made light of a lot of things, and I don't know if that fits the mold or not. How that fits in, but I mean, I've still never gotten into drugs. I suffer when I go to the doctor, to be honest, or have a surgery, because I come home and I'm like, Oxy or Tylenol. It's like, I just don't have any desire. And I do the Tylenol, and I wake up at 2 a.m, and the wife's like, "Just take your drugs." I mean, she just these are okay, and I'm like, I just, it's just something in my head. So what?
Yeah.
When you guys weekly you do this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And on your comment, my dad had cancer and he passed away a number of years ago, but I remember he had surgery for it and they prescribed him Oxy, and he had a gnarly surgery and he was in a lot of pain, but he refused to take Oxy because the conversation was, you take it, you're going to get addicted.
Right.
And he didn't want to risk that, even though he was in his 60s.
Well, I spent most of my adult life over 300 pounds. It's just been recently that I've lost weight. And so, I try to throw a little humor in, but when they're prescribing, I'm like, what's the strongest thing you can give me that's not that strong? And they're like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, I can't walk by a cheeseburger and not take a bite. What am I going to do with, Oxy or heroin or whatever? I mean, I just, and like, I'd never met a cheeseburger I could pass up. So I don't know what would happen if I hooked up with the wrong things. I said, I don't want any part of that. I've seen people way better than me ruin themselves with drugs and alcohol and other things. And I said, so I just got to keep it pretty straight and narrow. And there's like, well, you let us worry about that. I think that's a good plan. I worry about this. I mean, I just had a hip replaced not that long ago, and I did the Oxy for 2 days, and I had 3 medications. I had to take it at 4 hours, 4 hours, and 6 hours was my intervals. And my degree's in accounting, so I understand how numbers work. I literally could not figure out when to take my next pill. And the wife's like, when did you take the last one? And I told her, whatever, 2 o'clock. And she's like, didn't you just say you take that every 4 hours? Yes. I got it written down. I took it at 2 o'clock. It's every 4 hours. And she's like, what's the problem? And I'm about to lose my mind. I'm like, I don't know when to take my next one. And she's just like, I mean, she's concerned like I need an ER trip back to the hospital. And I'm just like, I feel so dumb. I literally cannot get 4 hours on top of 2 o'clock and figure out where to take the next pill. And that was the last time for me. And that was the next week was ridiculously miserable because it did take the pain away. I mean, or I don't know if it took it away, but I didn't care that it was there, I guess, at least. But yeah, yeah. And I just, and after that, and then Heather's like, I was thinking about taking back to the ER. I thought something was really wrong. I'm like, no, I just don't do that stuff. And that's, now it really hits you hard when you do. It's like,
so yeah. And the problem with Oxy was when it first came out, it was like a miracle drug and nobody knew it. I mean,
yeah.
Big Pharma.
Yeah.
When did it come?
Patients and doctors.
The doctors are lied to. The patients.
Yeah.
Yes.
When did it come out? Like, when did it hit the market?
I'm trying to remember. It was.
I think it was in the mid '90s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was back in the 90s.
Was it 90s?
I have like some kind of recollection of, I think maybe my parents talking about it, where it's a drug to get people off of harder drugs, and it doesn't have any side effects. I specifically remember that, and I was like 8 years old.
Yeah.
So I remember hearing that way back then.
Comes in cherry, watermelon.
The story I was told or heard was that it was originally used. Oxy was originally used to treat cancer patients, and there was a comment made in a little editorial in England that only small percent, I forget, very small percent of the cancer patients got addicted to Oxy. And so when the pharmaceutical companies started using it for general pain relief, they kept quoting back that little unscientific quote.
They didn't say the majority of them passed before they realized they were addicted.
And so what happened? So they have millions of Americans addicted to it. And then before the truth really came out, and then a few more years later, before the legislation came to really control how much could get prescribed, and what an opportunity for the drug dealers.
Mm-hmm.
Because fentanyl came around. I mean, that's been around a while, but they really started mass produce it as a much cheaper way. It's a synthetic opioid. Much cheaper way to create the same effect.
That's what it is?
It's a synthetic opioid. China makes it. I actually saw a podcast recently I don't know if this is true or not, but they're claiming that China is using declared. Did you see that? Trump declared it fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction back in December, so pretty recently, which I think he used to justify his. I don't want to bring up Jonathan. It's a whole other thing. But anyways, but the podcaster was saying that China's using it because they're making it. They ship it to 2 big drug cartels in Mexico, and then the majority of the fentanyl comes into is distributed and consumed through fake prescription pills.
Mhm.
So you have this perfect storm where the drug cartels are making a ton of money. You got gazillion Americans addicted, and also you have a lot of youth on ADHD medications and a lot of adults on anxiety. So even if you weren't addicted to pain meds, they're selling fake pills to address your, anxiety and depression and hyperactivity.
And these are the kinds of things you guys talk about in the workshop, is just where some of this comes from and what to be aware of. That's kind of what.
Yep.
Yeah, like kind of like what it is and like how kids tend to get it, which, like I said earlier, is mostly through social media.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I'm not on Instagram myself all that much, if at all. So knowing what those avenues are, especially get those fake pills or stuff like that, is very useful to know.
But I mean, like the I guess my question would be, the workshop. I mean, obviously, like you said, it's with the parents. So
With parents,
sure,
yep.
but it's not just all about talking to your kids. It's truly education on the drugs themselves, where they came from, where they're coming from, how the kids are getting it, and then try to translate that education into how do you talk to your kids about it. That's, I mean, I don't want to oversimplify things, but
I mean, you can't have a meaningful conversation with your kids if you don't understand
right?
it yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So
they're so good at asking questions, those kids.
Yeah. Talk about some of the questions.
Have an answer.
Yeah, I mean,
I grew up in the "because I said so" era. That's what I got. For
Yeah,
answer.
that doesn't work either.
That doesn't work either.
No.
I mean, I joke that she gives us homework, but
That's listed as homework.
What?
On the sheet she gives us, it says homework.
No, I was saying I joke about that she gives us homework, but it is just weird timing. How like we'll just be driving in the car and all of a sudden my daughter will ask a question about drugs or and it doesn't even have to be like a crazy hard question. It's just like, well, why do people smoke? And that can.
How old's your daughter?
My oldest is 12. No, 10?
11.
10. No.
Not 10.
He's
I'm
11.
not going to ask
She's
you.
11.
Dave,
She's older than
11.
mine.
Yes.
This side of the table is having hard with math today. She's 11, and my youngest is 7.
Okay.
So yeah, they'll be asking, and my wife is a respiratory therapist, so they'll be asking about smoking, and I can give some basic information, but it's really helpful for my wife to give them a really like kind of a biological what this is
doing.
what this is doing.
Yeah. And most people, when you ask them, I mean, that's not their biggest concern, is their health. It's
Especially kids.
Yeah.
So Nate, you had some good questions from, I think it was Addie. Now you're gonna say, okay, which one are you talking about?
Which ones?
Which questions were good?
Well, Elvis.
Oh yeah. She was like, for some reason they were talking about Elvis. She's like, what happened to Elvis? Like, well, he died of an overdose. Like, why? Like, how would when you start taking drugs, start getting addicted to them, and like you can't really stop. It's like, well, why can't you stop? Like, just don't take the drugs. Like, it's not hard, right? Like, I
just
don't eat candy all the time, right? And tend to explain that you don't, not that you don't have a choice, but it is extremely difficult, to really get off of addiction. Once you're addicted, it's rarely something you just do on your own.
Yeah.
Right, and they didn't explain all of that in school. They just talk about the fun things about Elvis.
Yeah.
Right, but coming home, it was really interesting to hear that she kind of stuck with it, and it bothered her a little bit that he just died of drugs, just the nebulous drugs, which to her now all drugs are bad. So it's a different conversation.
Right. yeah, where do you draw the line? It's like the
Exactly.
billboard where it starts with a cat and a dog and it ends with a cow, and it's, where do we draw the line of
Yep.
what's for dinner?
You got your good drugs, you got your bad drugs, and you got
Right.
overlaps quite a bit.
Yep.
at times.
And it's like a lot of topics. I mean, it's how much of it is really bad. It's the people doing it. I mean, are you abusing it? I mean, we can use a car for really bad things, but you use it to get to work. It's fine. It's guns. I mean, there's just the list goes on and on and on where you can talk about good things can still be bad in the wrong hands. And drugs definitely fall in that area.
So you got an example, Brian?
Well, I was just thinking, having it be so regular where we meet and then we have a topic to discuss and something to bring home. It kind of forces the issue of having the conversation now because, hey, we're supposed to have a conversation this week. And so if something happens, because it can be easy to just say, I don't want to deal with this right now. We can talk about it later. But if it's like, no, I need to have something to talk about at church about what I talked about with my kids.
Oh, sure.
So just showing up, every week and having to say, oh, this is what we talked about. It makes it easier to find a way to work something into the conversation because it sometimes it's unrelated, right? It's not necessarily, we're talking about drugs. Maybe we were talking about how you're playing video games too much and you're letting it get in the way of other things.
Right.
And then steering that in the conversation we have about how dopamine affects the brain.
I suppose it's not always about relating it to what you talked about in the workshop last week. Sometimes it's just a generic or organic question that came from the kids when you drove by the smoke shop or you see somebody at a bus stop and you're like, why would they do that to themselves? Especially respiratory therapists. I mean, and the family. That would be a tough conversation, but it would be tough as a child to understand why would you do that? When that's not how you're raised. I mean, that same child in a house where mom and dad both smoke, wouldn't ask that question. I mean, they wouldn't even think of it. It's just another day. So yeah, and there's a lot of drugs in the adults that trickle down. The kids see it and it's okay because mom and dad do it.
I definitely notice a difference too in like movies and stuff. The kids' movies when I was growing up had smoking in it, drinking in it, swearing in it, and now they just don't have that anymore. So it's kind of hard to understand. Well, how is my experience growing up as a kid really informing what my kids are going through? Because they've watched a handful of movies we watched as a kid, but not a lot. So they just don't have the same exposure through media to it.
Right.
You were watching a movie today on Disney, and it came across with the tobacco warning. This movie contains tobacco. 101 Dalmatians.
Yeah.
I was watching old Looney Tunes cartoons with my kids. They want to stay up late, like, oh, you live my past. I'll watch some old Looney Tunes, and there's guns, there's like suicide. Like, I was like, holy cow, I feel the
Yeah.
I wasn't prepared.
So the water, I keep thinking of the water game or the game your daughter was playing where the swimming pool, she's building the water park or something.
Oh, yeah. There's a water park game that she was playing, right? So she's playing it, and you build up the park. It's great. Like, it's a cool little sim, right? Like Roller Coaster Tycoon. Like, yeah, that's great.
Because we were talking about keeping them.
It's a nice wholesome game.
Yeah, nice
Yeah.
wholesome game.
What could go wrong? In a water
So she was playing something else that you thought you
yeah, she wanted to play Roblox and stuff like that. I'm like, let's get you into like a single player game where you make progress, something that's more than just trying to scratch that little addictive itch of video gaming, right? And she's like, you gotta get something started to upgrade your water park. And she couldn't figure out what this next achievement or like goal was. Like, oh, what is this? Like, catch 5 perverts. It's like, okay. I was like, what's a pervert, Dad? I'm like, oh, yeah.
I don't know.
In the water park simulation game. Cool. Not what I thought I would be talking about today.
Yep.
That's
well
a twist.
Yeah.
and the timing of your kids' questions. Like that week that you brought it up, we were actually talking about social media and their sexual predators. Is another issue with the kids that parents should worry about.
Yeah, that timing happens a lot. And I don't know if it's just like it was meant to be, or there are questions that I wouldn't have noticed in the past. Right.
kind of are you guys familiar with red car theory? Denise and I have talked about this in the past. That's whenever I hear that, I always think about it. It's a comment like that or an idea like that. It scares the heck out of me because it makes me think that the timing probably isn't coincidental. It's probably more the case, like you just said. It's always been there. It's there often, and you just never noticed it.
Right.
And are you guys familiar with red car theory?
Nope.
Okay. It's a business thing but it translates to so many things in life. Like coming here, if I ask you, first off, did any red cars pass you, or you pass any red cars on your way here today? Right? You're probably going to go, I assume so, right? Right? But do you know that you did? And of course, if you say yes, the next question is, well, how many, and what were they? You can't answer that. But if I said, on your way home tonight, you log every red car that you see on the way home tonight, I'll give you $100 for every red car you see.
And now I'm going to.
You're going to. Right. And then we're going to equate that a week from now. After you've done it for a week, we're going to equate that to, well, how many cars do you think you saw coming here? And you're going to see that it was probably whatever, it's 12 or it was 8 or whatever the average is. And you really asking right now, you don't know. So again, that's how, in my opinion, that's how I gauge most coincidences. When people say it's coincidence, like, no, you just weren't paying attention. Yeah. And now you start talking about your kids and drugs and perverts. It's terrifying if you take that approach, that red car theory, right? If you take that approach that's always been there, you just didn't see it.
Yeah, just didn't notice.
And that's, in my opinion, that's a more logical answer than what a great coincidence,
Right.
But it's terrifying.
I also say it's a God thing. So.
You can have that too.
That happens
Open
too.
your eyes.
Yeah. But open your eyes.
That's part of it.
Well, we live in such a time now where, like, we don't have time.
Right.
Like we have
everybody's busy.
We have a start stop for every single thing. It's like not even a time to sit down and just breathe. So when your kids come to you with that question, if you're in a panic and you're trying to get out the door, or there's an emergency going on, like you might not have the opportunity to go in depth with it. But if they ask the question, like, the opportunity is there, and go for it. Like, don't just be like, oh, we'll talk about it later.
Right.
Like,
or you don't need to worry about that right now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I gotta get my homework done for Denise, so I'm gonna answer this question now.
Well, it's like anything. You kick that can down the road. Eventually, you got to pick it up.
Yeah.
Eventually, and now's as good a time as any. And especially if you're going to be held accountable by someone.
Yeah, I like this homework. That's definitely a keeper. Creates that accountability.
Yeah.
Well, like we've all heard from various people, like you've brought it up. Like, do you want somebody else filling in the answer, or do you want to be able to have that conversation? Because you can't control what somebody else is going to tell them.
No. And if your kids are curious, if they ask you, if they're curious enough to ask you something and you don't answer them, they're not going to let it go. They're going to ask somebody else. And now, and not that you guys have bad kids or anything, but it's like, do you trust their judgment on who to trust, who to ask, who to take the answer from? Yeah,
no. Trust.
Yeah, right. But so the workshop, every week, how many is it? Is it just something that's always ongoing, or is it a program, like it's X amount of weeks?
Well, this is my first workshop, full disclosure.
Okay.
And so
she's still workshopping it.
Yeah. I'm still workshopping.
Open for suggestions.
Yeah.
Like I said, I do think it'll end up to be 8 hours, 8 sessions, broken up into 8 sessions, and then parents can sign up for one or all of them, and they'll be very well defined, because each week I have a very specific topic, and I'll probably combine. Like right now, we just meet for an hour because that's what worked. While the kids all their wives teach Sunday school, and the kids are in Sunday school, and they were just hanging out. So, like, perfect.
We're not doing anything. Let's talk about drugs.
Kind of verbally handcuff the group. And
I had talked to Bryant and Nate in a customer interview setting way back. I forget when it was. I think it was a year ago.
I think so.
And I would ask. I talked to a number of parents, and I'd say 70. And one of the questions, I don't know, we talked about drugs and how much you knew about addiction, and if you saw any characteristics in your children already that you might think could, put them at risk.
Sure.
And what came out, and because I don't even think it was a question I had, but anyways, what I kept hearing from parents, 70% of them said, well, I want to talk to my kids about drugs, but I don't know how. And so that's what, like, ooh. And then we dragged John into it because he was there at church anyways.
Yeah,
And their
I just
kids,
wander around aimlessly, and
yeah.
so now
But
I have a purpose.
so my question to you all is, if, coming in, you had that feeling of, I want to talk to them, but I don't know how. How are you feeling now? And we're not even like through everything, but
Certainly a lot better. I mean, the practice certainly helps. Right? Getting that conversational skill with your kids about topics that you're not overly comfortable with is really good to have. So, the weekly homework and stuff like that really helps kind of enforce that. But yeah, the knowing how, it's basically being able to answer those questions, right, as they come up, which helps them keep asking those questions, right? They're going to keep
Right.
asking if they're getting fun answers.
If they're getting
Right.
adequate answers, absolutely.
So stuff like that,
yeah, it's about creating that space. So
Right.
you're basically letting them know, yes, it's okay to ask the question.
yeah, and you're not going to get in trouble for asking me about drugs or weird things that happen or things you don't understand.
And you
Right.
actually know how to answer them.
Actually know how to answer them.
So do you guys, is it just discussion? Do you role play?
We've done a role play.
Yeah.
Okay.
With some success.
Yeah.
Okay. With some success.
Well, okay, I gave them a C+ on their last role play.
See,
Well, you changed the
that's
format.
Change the format. So they're really fun to watch role play because basically one of them gets to be like their kids,
Mhm.
and then there's sort of like a good parent and a bad parent, the good way to answer, the bad way to answer, kind of thing.
Sure.
And but this last time I left it a little more free form, free. I didn't give them the answer. I thought, okay, they're gonna have to, they're not gonna have the answers when they're with their kids. So yeah, so we're gonna do more of those.
Okay.
And the videos, what do you guys think of the videos we don't always have a video, but you want to talk about those? I remember.
They're very informative and terrifying as a parent, which kind of gives you more of a drive to make sure you talk to your kids about this kind of stuff. And I will say I'm a kind of free flowing kind of guy. I can joke around and whatnot. But when it comes to serious topics with my girls, it is difficult. But this class has given me more confidence just to go at it, because where are you most comfortable in life? Probably at your house.
Yeah.
This is my space, this is safe, and this is, it's just the easiest place to talk to or to have those conversations with your kids. So, your kids are asking, you're in a safe space. You get nervous talking about anything like the birds and the bees. But what guy wants to have that conversation with their kids about it? But you do, and you just kind of gain that confidence of being able to talk to your kids about it. And being in these sessions has helped me gain confidence and not have to be like, oh, go talk to your mother because she's better at explaining this.
Yeah, the video that struck me, I think, the most was the one where they had basically the parents on, our kids never done drugs, never any problems, zero concern ever, died of an overdose, right? Just because they needed a pain pill, went online, got one, it was like fentanyl. That's when I'm like, even if my kids are great, if they don't know that stuff like that can happen, right? They can
trust the wrong person,
right?
Yeah.
Like, not even be trying to do something like buy online, right? They could just end up something slipped in a drink, just unexpected.
Yeah, I was telling my daughter about that. It just takes one pill to overdose. She's like, "It's okay. I hate taking pills. I'm never gonna take it." I was like, "I get what you're saying. Let's hope you remember this later."
Are you on Instagram? And you're not on Instagram.
That's the thing.
No.
We don't actually have a lot of exposure to social media.
Right. So these sessions are very informative of what to look out for. I have Snapchat, but I only use it as a way of doing FaceTime with my family that are all Apple users because I refuse to go to Apple. So, but that's my only exposure to Snapchat. So hearing all this stuff about how social media is just pervasive with getting drugs out to kids it's terrifying, but you need to know.
Yeah. So where do these videos come from?
Well, they're out on YouTube, but I look through. So I watch, I seek some out, and of course, once you start looking, they just come to you.
And they come to you. Yep. Yep.
But there's good ones and there's bad ones, and the one Nate's talking about was the very first one I showed them, and it's called the New Drug Talk, and yeah, it's kind of a wake up call because parents that there's a lot of parents that don't think they're going to have to worry about their kids. For good reason, because there's a lot of good parents, especially here in Rochester, with a lot of professionals. And the message I'm trying to get across is you need to know this stuff, because if you don't know it, your kids aren't going to know it.
Right.
And they're going to be informed one way or another. And I just don't know how you protect them if you as a parent don't know. And the risk is that, this is another good point. So the risk is that a lot of parents feel, the story parents tell themselves is that if I start talking with my kids about drugs before they start asking, it's going to put that idea in their head.
Oh.
And that's going to create curiosity. Study after study has proven that the exact opposite is true. That parents who talk with their kids about drugs are up to 50% less likely to do drugs. And I pretty much believe that's probably when they start talking, if they're talking to their kids about drugs, like when they get into middle school and high school, so after they've already been exposed. We are really focused on earlier than that. In this window of opportunity we're talking about today, that between the ages of 9 and 14, the brain is actually very open to building new connections where you're integrating your brain. So there's a left brain and a right brain, the emotional versus the thinking. And then there's a lower brain and an upper brain where the lower brain's very, your amygdala's there. We talked about that one time. And the upper part of your brain is the part that doesn't really form completely until you're 25. So between 9 and 14.
So between 25 and 57.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
depends on who. Yeah, it's a range.
It's never complete, but because it can get rewired, just like a house, right? You can complete the house, but you can always rewire it, add new lights or move doors around. And so parents, and a lot of this research is fairly new, and combining, the neuroscience with the addiction and with how parents can help their children create the, healthy brain wiring by helping them work through the emotions that they have, because kids have emotions. Adults have emotions.
Yeah,
allegedly.
Yeah. So I'm actually hoping the parents actually can benefit from learning too about how they're helping their kids, because for example, if a child is out of control, right? He's emotional about something. You can't help them if you just try to be logical with them. You have to actually they have to feel like you understand what they're feeling before they're going to listen to any logic, because their brain is literally, that part of their brain, the logic side of their brain, is shut off.
So I've got a question to back up a little bit. When you say, like, a lot of parents, like, well, I don't want to talk to my kids about drugs because I don't want to put the idea in their head. So I don't know where you guys sit on this. I know I am not an expert on this, so I'm going to rely on Denise as my expert in the room. Do you think that that's more about them not wanting to deal with it than them really truly believing that they're going to introduce their kids to drugs? Because I'm an optimist for the most part. I always try to find the good in it, except people. I just don't have any faith in mankind. So I really struggle with people. When I hear kind of like you said earlier, is it coincidence or didn't I notice it? It's like, I'm going to say you didn't notice it, but that's my opinion of people. When I hear someone say, well, I don't want to be the one to introduce them to it. It's like, so if you have a good household, which we're going to assume most of us have, and the kids haven't caught you, doing drugs, you're not setting that example. And now you're going to talk to them about preemptively working on not getting into drugs. As a rational adult, do you really believe that's going to set the precedent to go do drugs and get curious about it? Me personally, I don't see that as a reality. I see that as it's another reason to kick the can down the road. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And that's my opinion. But again, I'm very skeptical of people's motives. I struggle in that area a lot of times.
What did you guys think? It's a good question.
Yeah,
I have my thought too, but
Yeah,
let's hear.
I'm not the expert, but I definitely agree. Because it wasn't until after I started talking to my kids about this that they're like, "Well, you drink, like you have alcohol. I've seen you do it,
Yeah.
right? But now you're telling me that's bad, right? And you don't want to get stuck in like a justification. It's like, well, it's okay for me, and blah blah blah. Like
So which did you agree with, me or Jerry?
Did you have differing opinions?
Okay, so next episode. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
When
it's
you
just-
said that, I think that when people don't want to like talk to the kids about sex,
Yeah.
very similar things. Like I don't want to talk about it. Right?
Yeah.
My excuse is, well, if I talk to you about it, I'm going to teach you what sex is, and all of a sudden you're going to go out and have sex, as if you don't have friends that you're talking about that already.
Yeah, it's
Right?
like you
So-
didn't notice that she looks different to you this year than she did last year, or he does, if whatever. I mean, but yeah, it's like there's a time in your life where all of a sudden it's like she looks different. I mean, and whether she does or
No.
doesn't, you notice it. I mean, it's
Right.
different.
Whether
as
your
a-
parents talk to you or not.
Right,
So
whether they-
if,
yeah.
if it's not going to be your parents or some other trusted source, they'll be your friends, and they may not have your best interest at heart for
Right.
some reason.
So I think there's two things though that need to be addressed. One is what to look out for when talking with other people, and one is how can it affect you. And the how can it affect you, I don't know that anyone's really concerned that that's going to draw their kids towards drugs because they're like it'll destroy your life. No one.
Yeah.
But when you're like, oh yeah, you might have to look out for it online. Well then now that puts the knowledge into the kid's head about, oh, so like if I was interested in drugs, I could look for it online, whereas they may not have thought of that before. And so I think that might be where some of the fear comes from. But the helpful thing about the workshop is, having the homework, is it kind of like before you start this whole process, there are so many things that you could talk to your kids about on this one particular subject. It's like, where do I start?
Right.
And so the homework's like, well, just do this one thing. This is the one thing you have to work on this week. You can do other stuff too, but like, if you have to pick one, this is the one you can pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes all that choice away, which can be paralyzing.
Right.
Um,
Well, it's like going to a restaurant that has an 8-page menu. It's like,
yeah.
I just came in for a burger, but now I'm
I
gonna
want
spend
one of everything.
right
Don't
now I'm
wanna
gonna
go
spend
wrong
20
burger.
minutes. Yeah, but spend 20 minutes looking at this thing, and it's overwhelming.
Yeah. So I don't think it's entirely that people are trying to kick the can down the road. That there's likely a hint of truth in that they don't want to introduce their kids to an avenue that they hadn't previously considered. But the risk of that is far outweighed by the risk of just them not knowing anything at all
Doing nothing.
and getting blindsided. Because even if they're not thinking of, oh, I could go look for this online, well, they may end up running into it online and never having been informed otherwise, and that would be far worse.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm a permit to carry instructor, and in my classes we talk about the fact that okay, so your kid is this tall. Well, some people will think, well, if I put my gun here, well, it's safe. They're not going to get at it. It's like, and the reason I bring this up is to your point. I tell people it's like you need to lock that firearm up. It needs to be safe. That doesn't mean a foot higher than your kid. It doesn't mean hidden somewhere. I mean, if they can't find it, they can't hurt anybody or themselves. But you're assuming they're not curious enough to find it on their own. And then if I know, I mean, I have between Heather and I have 5 kids. Now we have 1 grandchild, and I'm telling you, you cannot assume that those kids won't find it on their own. And that goes for a gun, that goes for drugs, that goes for. So that's my stand on it as someone with adult children. They put me through it. I mean, no matter what every time I thought I was smarter than them, at some point, one of them figured out a workaround, one way or the other, whether it was just something. I mean, so, and guns are an important topic also, to talk about with your kids. And I'm a big advocate of teaching your children about guns and the respect that they deserve so they don't do something stupid and get themselves in trouble when they think they're just going to be fun or they're going to show off to their friends or whatever. And the number one thing of that is you can be responsible with a firearm, and part of that is lock it up. And so again, as a healthy debate, I would just say, assuming that your kids can't find drugs online because you didn't tell them that's where it is. Again, I don't buy that. I see that people may think that, but I don't think it's legit. I don't believe for a second that you're going to outsmart your kids with that.
I had a parent who said, I'd have to prove that the risk of not talking to them was greater than the risk of talking to them. But I don't know.
Point. I mean, if that's what's in your
I mean,
head.
it's kind of saying the same thing, but it was a little more clarity.
I don't disagree with your argument. I'm just saying I think people are being held back by this fear.
Right. No, yeah. Oh no,
Yeah.
I think the fear is legit, just like that. That's a legitimate question. But those are the things that we're going to have to be prepared.
But
I
also think your perspective, like I think there's so many parents that don't know what's really out there between the one pill can kill and the social media, that they don't realize.
Oh, yeah.
How
terrified they should be.
Everybody's at risk.
It's not the other way around.
Oh yeah, there's been many times I'll get in the car after these sessions and I'll just turn to my wife and the girls are right there. I say, this is terrifying.
Yeah,
like the stuff that we're seeing that's so readily available out there, and like to your point of putting a gun 1 foot higher, like we send our kids to school to learn, to get more knowledgeable. They're already very smart. They can figure out like, oh, I'll just move a chair over here to give me an extra 1 foot. Like they'll figure it out. So it's not an arms race for you to like figure out how to like stop them here so they can't like you need to equip them with knowledge so that they can defend themselves intellectually when they encounter it out there.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I know in the firearms industry we talk about that. It's like educate your children, educate your spouse. If that's if they're when I do the permit to carry class, I'll have a husband sign up, and it's like, are you going to carry in the car? Yep. I'm like, you should have your wife take the class with you. She's not interested. She'll never carry. Well, you're going to carry in the car, and you're going to pull in, and she's going to want to run to Quick Trip or the grocery store. I said, at that point, when she's in the car, now she's carrying without a permit, because you can carry whether you have a permit or not. It's just one's legal, one's not. And I said, and that's, I mean, right? I mean, that's one you get arrested for, one you don't. And I said, when that's, and ironically enough, he's a business owner in Rochester, took the class, and his wife signed up a couple months later, 2 months later. Anyway, and I asked her, I said, so what made you change your mind? She goes, well, our garage is tucked in behind the house, so we have a single lane driveway, and then it V's out or kind of Y's out so you can get both stalls in the garage. That's right. I kind of looked at it, I was like, I was talking about the permit to carry class is what I was asking about.
I was waiting for the follow-up to the rest of that story.
Right. So I'm like, that's what she said. She stopped. I was like, I was asking about the class, because I'm not following it all. She goes, oh, well, and of course I had forgotten the conversation had. It was months ago. And she's like, well, you told him about the jumping in the car and going to Quick Trip. And she says, it's a single lane driveway. He just pulls in. Whatever car's last in the driveway, that's the one you take. And she's like, so that was really, so that was really, it was, he literally took my words on going to Quick Trip or the grocery store. She goes, because we have a single lane driveway. So yeah, I had to do this.
Yeah.
I was like,
it all makes sense.
It all makes sense now, I guess. But I was like, that is such a weird way. But yeah, when she said that, she obviously had the conversation in the back of her head. They had obviously just had it again. I hadn't had that conversation in a few months. So I'm like, what are you talking about? Are we having the same conversation here? But again,
sometimes you have to put the problem in their language,
right?
In their situation.
Yep.
And even if it's not a problem, if they have a friend who's like maybe ADHD is on medication or pain is on pain medication, they may be around it, right? And if a friend's like, hey, I take this every day. If you have a headache, you want to take some of this. This will help your headache.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
You can start very innocent.
Right? It could be kind of like a permit to carry. One's totally legal. The other one,
not so much. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. And you're doing the exact same thing. It's very odd that, like I say, one's a crime, one's not, and but it's that simple. Yeah, and but education goes a long way. I mean, having a little fear of it Not that you use that as the tactic, but we talk
It's
about
okay
the parent.
to scare the parents.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
but that's what I
That's what I
mean.
always say.
But to send the parents home, like say, get in the car
Because
and
their
just be
brain
like,
is fully developed, so they get it. But yeah, it doesn't work with the undeveloped brain.
right.
And teens, I mean, we're born as most of us are natural risk takers when we're younger, and then we grow out of that. Well, some of us do,
So,
but that's why and I think that some folks in prevention, especially because a lot of folks in prevention are more county nonprofits, and they almost don't know I think they don't know what to do because telling them no doesn't work because their brains, they're not smart enough. So then where does that leave you? So that's why we're just starting to get into this, is how to teach parents to help. And again, you have to start early,
right.
before the age of 14, to
Start with
help.
education.
Yeah, so even on any topic, help them integrate their brains and develop their brains in very healthy ways so that they learn how to handle stress, because that's a big social media, and like COVID was horrible for mental health, and mental health leads to the drug use.
Right.
And there's a lot of kids today, because of social media and all the screen time, that have depression and anxiety. And so it's really easy for even an innocent friend to say, hey, this works for me, not
Right.
knowing.
Right.
Because if it's a legal prescription pill, I mean, that's bad, but most likely a legal one isn't going to kill you unless you took a lot of it.
Right.
But it's the illegal pills that look exactly like the legal pills that can kill you. But I was curious. I was going to ask a question about how would you tell your friends, because I know you have other friends, some of you. I know Nate does.
Wow. She looks so nice.
Another parent, well, even at your school, there's a lot of school parents, that you meet, or sporting parents. How would you?
No, I only talk.
How would you sell or talk to this work about this? How would you encourage one of your parent friends to?
How do you get a referral?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if they know the referral language.
No, but
Yeah. How would you tell someone how would you talk about the workshop if you thought one of your friends' parents should also attend? One of your kids' friends' parents. There you go.
Like, are you saying like go at it more like a cold call or
Oh, just
what?
in general. No, I don't. But if you want to cold call them, but
Well, no, like you're sitting around the dinner table and it's all quiet and people are eating their Thanksgiving dinner. It's like, hey, you wanna go to this workshop about drugs?
You look like you could use a
Yeah,
drug workshop.
right.
You want to learn more about drugs?
Yeah.
isn't it?
It is hard.
But,
Like,
like-
you're just trying to think about it. Like, how would I just broach that subject?
But
Yeah, with like a couple of friend groups that I have, like they're already actively trying to talk to their kids. Like they're very high and like trying to figure out and like work with emotions and not just beat it down.
it's a touchy subject. I mean, it's not like,
Yeah.
well, you want to come to a bad parents club? It's like it's not like that. It's like we want to be
It's a good
proactive.
parent.
Right. It's a
Right.
good parent, but
You want to be an even
like,
better
yeah.
parent?
A parent
Yeah.
club for bad kids.
Yeah. Your
But
kids look like they might
that's
be.
kind of the stigma that's
But
kind of
that's-
hard to break through, right? It's like, well,
Right.
if you're a bad kid or you're in a bad part of town, like this is for you.
Right.
I mean,
Really?
it might even be an
Right.
issue if someone thinks, well, no, we've already had that conversation with our kids. But, to what extent have they had the conversation?
Right.
How much did the kids retain?
Well, it makes it sound very singular,
Yeah.
which this is obviously
No.
not.
Well, and you're
Ongoing.
saying that the problem like is static and like, okay, we've talked about it, now they're good.
Yeah.
It changes
Yeah, it's
all
like
the
teaching
time.
a kid how to tie a shoe. No, he knows. It's like this goes further than that, a
Right.
lot further.
Right.
You gotta get that first video that you showed and just show that to them. I think that would do probably a pretty good job.
Oh, you'd have like a
The-
video preview. What's
the
that
lady
called?
had
Like,
the
A
psychotic
screening? You don't have a.
break, marijuana? That one?
The first
What
one
was the
of
first
the
one?
session.
The first one was the parents with the kids who took one pill and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like they just weren't expecting because that's like
I thought the psychotic break on marijuana was even more terrifying.
Oh yeah.
that would definitely be terrifying.
The one that hit me. I mean, they all hit me pretty heavily. So credit to you for figuring those out. But no, it was the cartoon one. You had the bird.
Oh, yeah.
Was just,
I thought that was a very,
I was like,
yeah,
wow, that is a
very digestible even for kids
Right,
to
yeah.
understand.
yeah. It's just a bird, and they're just walking along. It's a normal bird.
No
It's
wings.
yeah, no wings. Yep. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
Pretty sure birds aren't real.
If hold their wings in, they're just walking along, and sees a little like droplet on the ground, looks down, and then just kind of inspects it, but then just keeps going. And then they see it again. They're like, oh, well, that looks curious. And then they take it.
There's no dialogue. So it's
Right,
just,
there's
yeah.
no dialogue in it. So, and then they take it, and all of a sudden they kind of fly up, and they're kind of on this nice little gradual thing, and then they come back down, and like, oh, that was fine. And then they encounter it again. And every time they do it, they fly a little bit less, and they hit the ground harder. And I found that very, very impactful, very,
Sure.
that stuck with me. Yeah.
Remember the no wings. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I ran across that video at the community ed did a 4-week session on understanding addiction.
Okay.
And that's where I saw that, and so I had to go find it because I thought the same thing.
So how do you decide what topics to cover? I mean, it's such a broad topic. I mean, but all the subtopics that and what education is most important to you. I mean, how do you decide that?
I mean, I also will say that we meet for an hour. We generally have our wives saying, hey, we got errands to run. Like, we gotta go. Yeah, no, like, we could sit there and, like, there's so much to talk about. Like, an hour is not enough.
Yeah.
Even after she breaks it up into these sessions, like, yeah, you can keep going with this.
Oh, I bet.
Sometimes
Yeah,
the second session just starts where we left off.
Right, yeah.
Previous.
Yeah. I don't know. I've just been coming together in my own head of how, and I've always been good at organizing things and thoughts. In fact, when I worked at IBM, not to brag, but I was known.
That's pretty important.
I was known to, one of my gifts there was to take a complex topic and break it down into, understandable parts so that anybody could understand it. And I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing here. It's a very complex topic, but I just kind of can naturally see ways to break it up. And, having just an hour, gives me that. And I came up initially with I knew I wanted to do the role playing. I don't always have a video, but I want the video. So it's very interactive and homework and to make it so they can practice, so they can walk away with not only knowing things, but being able to practice them.
So education and the ability to execute on that information.
Because it can't be
That's what you guys get from it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the practice helps out a lot. Like, it's one thing just to like read through the words, like, yeah, okay, I'm good at reading, I get it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right.
That's
But yeah, the practice and then the like talking about what we talked about the kids about is always enlightening, right? Even though like we got different kids with their own unique
Even
sense
your
of
own
fun.
kids, there's no two alike.
Right.
They're just there's same house, same mom, same dad.
Oh, yeah,
kids
my
are-
kids are polar opposites.
Yeah, completely different. Yep.
Yeah, just hearing that the difference and stuff like that, like, it generates ideas, and it's
I have
fun to
been
talk about.
shocked or surprised that the questions that your kids are already asking. I mean, that just reconfirms to me that this is the right age group, and this is the right time to start talking about this.
So a question for you guys then. Once your kids, you start having dialogue about this topic, about drugs with your kids, and they're asking you questions. Do you notice that they ask more questions now because you're informed and willing to talk about it, or do you still have to kind of bring it up to them? Have you seen an increase in their curiosity to talk to you about it or open up to you?
Wouldn't say that's a question for my wife. She's informational. I will say it's been easier to talk to them about it because they do seem to want to have a conversation about it. Like we walk we're out walking into Target, and we still try to have like that Minnesota nice, like,
Yeah.
and like try not to raise your voice too much or whatever. But my daughter will just say, "Oh, what is that smell?" And it's just somebody that's having a smoke break outside, and you just have a conversation from that.
Sure.
So yeah, they just become more conversational if they know it's a safe space. Like,
Right.
you're not going to shut them down.
Yeah, right. But I'm just curious if you're noticing that. Well, I guess maybe before I even ask that question, I just ask how long you guys been doing the workshop? How many weeks? How many hours?
This was the 10th
Okay,
meeting.
so
So 10
a
hours.
couple months.
There've been a
Mhm.
few weeks where we didn't meet because
Yeah.
of other
Oh, sure.
issues, yeah.
Sure.
Um,
But yeah, I guess I'm just curious if you're, and maybe that's a topic for down the road, that is how to get the kids to open up more to you guys. But I'm just wondering if the fact that you are more educated and answering questions they have, do you guys feel that leads to more questions or more curiosity from them? I mean, and I'm assuming in a good way, and obviously.
I think it certainly leads to at least one curiosity, right? And those are the kind of questions I want the kids to come to me for, right? So if they're used to it, talking about it with drugs, I'm hoping it translates to other areas
Right.
that maybe I wouldn't have been as open to talk about, or at least as
It's an icebreaker.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's what I was assuming you guys were gonna say.
Yeah.
You know,
My kids don't really. Well, she talks to my kids. She does have to work. But they don't really ask pointed questions about that yet. So I try and take opportunities.
but yours are a little younger, right?
Yeah, 10 and 9.
Oh, 10 and 9. Okay.
Almost 11.
Almost 11. Yeah, the 10-year-old's almost 11. So, we took that survey today, and it asked about whether or not your kids' friends have any like substance exposure to substance abuse and stuff like that. And I don't really think they do. But I put down I don't know because I can't know.
Right.
But I do think because they're likely not exposed to it with their current friend groups, and they don't, aside from some of the older movies we watch, there's not a lot of exposure in the media that they're on. So I think they're probably a little bit sheltered at this point, but that's why if we are watching an older movie or we do see something out in public, that I just try and take that opportunity to have a conversation with, this is what's going on, and this is, some useful information related to it. And the questions that she gives us that we're supposed to talk to our kids about kind of help inform how I'm going to approach that. We're like, oh, this is a great opportunity to try and ask that question or to go over this topic.
Okay.
Are you generally talking to your oldest about this stuff? And then
Probably Bryson more, but
okay.
So Bryson playing.
I was just wondering if, like,
Roman doesn't really care about our opinions.
Like, going off of your question, do you guys find that your younger kids are more engaged when talking about this when you're talking to your older kids about this, or vice versa?
They're usually together. Yeah. So I just have a conversation with both of them most of the time.
But you're saying the younger one asks questions more?
He's more like your youngest, where he'll just say, "What is that smell?"
Yeah.
Well,
he's more likely to just vocalize the thought that he's having.
Like when you pass the smoke shop.
Yeah. He was the only one in the car at the time, but yeah, it was like, why would they make a smoke shop?
Don't they know that kills people?
Yeah.
Right.
Someone should go tell them.
Yeah.
But even it can relate to any topic. So like Bryson, his youngest, was over at our house, and I was taking him home, and that was the Sunday we took him to the art center for Tracy's.
Yep.
And they had I bought him a big bag, had 5 servings of the worms, the gummy worms,
Yep.
And so we're getting in the truck when I was taking him home, and I said, "You're probably on a sugar high." And he goes, "What's that mean?"
Oh.
And I said,
Never mind.
"See, it's a really good opportunity." I don't know if I intentionally did it, but it can be an innocent topic like sugar, but still relates to addiction or unhealthy. So I said, and your brain, I said, well, if you eat too much sugar, you'll start to feel really funny in the head and your whole body. And he's like, well, how much is too much sugar?
I'm taking it to your dad. Keep going. I'll let you know.
No. So I go, well, he still had the package. I said, how much sugar is in one serving on that package? And I think it was like 13. I said, that's probably a good number then. Because one serving.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Gotta get
So,
sugar-free gummies. That's how they get.
I mean, it's just simple conversations like that. If you're not thinking about it, you wouldn't necessarily put it in those terms that could lead to, other substances.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's not a lifelong. It could be hopefully it's not a lifelong conversation about drugs, because then I failed. But, all the way through high school, because every year they're going to meet new friends, they're going to see something. I mean,
well, it's new influence, even not just friends, but social media, different influence.
They will see overdoses in the high schools in Rochester. And if they don't feel comfortable asking you about it, you won't even know.
Yep.
Because most parents don't realize that.
Yep.
And so it's been normalized. I had a 9th grader tell me that the current high school students, there's so many overdoses, it's just normal now.
Just known to it.
Yeah.
That's
which
so
is scary
terrible.
too.
Yeah.
And so if they're not afraid, I mean, to me, that if it's normalized, that means they're not even afraid, or they don't understand.
Well, they just accept it as part of the culture, part of it's part of high school. It's just, that's terrifying.
And to be fair, out of the 645 overdoses, only 47 died.
Yeah. Only.
Even one is too
Right.
much.
I know. I was being funny.
Yeah. But I mean, it's different when it's yours, too.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't matter how many other ones there were if it affects you. You made that comment earlier. How does it affect me? And that's a big deal. I mean, so shift gears a little bit, only because you kind of brought it up, and we are on the small business podcast, so let's talk about business a little bit. You had mentioned what can these guys? How would they? If you have a neighbor that has a 10-year-old, how would you go to them? Would you go to them? I guess let's start there. Not even how, but would you feel comfortable going to them saying, "You have any interest in coming to, Denise's workshop with me, or can I introduce you to Denise, or the next one, or whatever, the next workshop, can I introduce you to Denise?" Is that, now that you guys have been through and see what she does, how likely would you be to try and at least get the word out there, help her get that move the next round moving?
Yeah, I definitely would. I got a friend in mind to recommend. Not because I think it.
Well, that's the
They obviously need help.
There's the stigma.
Well, right. Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier.
Like our kids are getting raised up together, right? And I want my kids to be able to talk about it. I want their kids to be able to talk about it. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it to them, if nothing else, just to educate themselves on how to educate their kids.
Right.
And the workshops, at least for me, gave me a little more confidence to just, you don't have to just go crazy with inviting everybody and just be loud. But it just gave me a little more confidence just to ask the question, would you be interested in this? And it's like, you're not making it a sale. It's like, it's not like my livelihood is on the line making commission on this sale, right? It's like you have a genuine interest in helping them keep their families safe and informed.
Right. Well, that's what I mean. That's what I was getting at. We talked about stigma, and by no means was I picking on Denise or For Youth or what you're doing at all, the workshop. It's just, but
it's really out there.
But it's out there. And if you're asking your neighbor, or your friend to come meet Denise and go to her workshop, like you say, how do you don't want to come across as, like you said, like, hey, we're having a bad parents meeting. I mean, it's like, this is not it. I don't think you're a bad parent. I don't think that you're more at risk than anyone else. But that's part of the problem with talking about drugs or drugs happening. It doesn't care if you're poor, you're wealthy, you're black, you're white.
Rich, poor.
It just doesn't matter, and none of that matters. So it's like, you gotta get past that fear of offending someone, like you think they're a bad parent. Oh, I see how you raise your kids. You need to meet Denise. It's like, obviously that's not the approach.
And I have a business background with my college degree, and like I try to be risk averse.
Right.
So when you go to a parent, you just have this, like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to risk anything happening to my kid, and I'm positive that you don't either.
Right.
So how do you
Be proactive.
limit that risk as best you can?
Well, I don't know if you guys know my history at all, and I won't go into that here, but I have multiple businesses, and you hit it on the head. You can have an auto shop, you can do workshops, you can be a dentist. At the end of the day, if you're running a dental facility, you're going to be you're a dentist. Obviously, you're good at that. You have your certifications, your degree, whatever. But as the business owner, when you wear the business owner hat, you can talk about marketing, you can talk about employees, you can talk everything is mitigating risk. That's really what it all boils down to. You're always mitigating risk. Now, you're the dad, you're the mom. Again, it's mitigating risk. So yeah, I mean, that transcends through all different parts of life. And when you can use that approach, that's a very comforting way. Right, like I say, rather than alluding that you don't think, I think your kid's gonna have a problem. It's right. That's a great approach.
I like that. I'm gonna have to steal that.
Yeah, absolutely.
How well it works.
Well, and that's why I asked, because I thought, somebody here's got a better idea than what I would, so I want to hear it, because if it's a good idea, I'm all about stealing it. I mean, 100%. Let's do what works and what gets people involved. Because, I mean, for the time I've known Denise, I can't tell you how many times when you made the comment not to brag, you said that. I have bragged about this woman so many times in my business dealings, because we've talked about our referral group, and and I just the methodical way you go about everything. And that's exactly what you're talking about. It is, to me, as a business owner, it's so impressive, because you have that whole, you got to crawl before you walk before you run. Okay. There's a lot of times in business where I'm more of like a run, fall, bleed. Not, so it's like, this has got to happen. It's got to happen right now, or it's not going to happen at all. And, and that's risky, now with great risk comes great reward, but it's called risk for a reason. If the reward doesn't come, you're in tough shape. And when you look at the way Denise approaches things, and I'm going to look in the camera and say, this is more for everyone who's listening's benefit. If you have any interest, you have children, you have grandchildren in that age range, reach out. When we're done here, we're going to make sure you know how to get a hold of Denise. I don't care what topic she's talking about. I know that if she says something out loud, it's the truth, and it's been researched, and it's real. And I think you guys can atone to that, or attest to that, I should say, that you're having a good experience, obviously.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I've known Denise my whole life, so I can 100% back up what you're saying.
awesome.
Well, you may have been 5 or 6.
Yeah. You moved.
Your dad worked at the same company. She worked
That's
at.
They
true.
did, yeah. Not to brag, my parents.
For everyone under 50 out there, IBM is a company that.
I was hoping not to brag about my ability that came out at IBM. But
No,
yeah,
we'll do that for you. You don't have to do that. We'll do that for you.
I did my job there.
IBM's last greatest achievement was AS400. That was in 19. No. That probably was.
Watson, though.
Oh, there's
Yeah,
that.
Watson.
Oh, yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
Well, we're at about an hour and 15 minutes. Anything that we need to talk about before we're done here that we haven't touched on?
I want to also just make it clear that, it's really not just about drugs. It's really about building a better relationship with your children and helping them develop. They can't, if we don't help their brain develop in healthy ways, we're missing out on a huge opportunity. And so it's still going to develop. And if we just let the world develop it,
right.
It's a really important part of the whole education process too. So everything everything that you learn in terms of how to talk with your kids about drugs applies to any topic.
Yeah.
So yeah, when you get to the sex
Well,
topics.
and Nate brought that up earlier, and I think
Yeah.
that was a great point. That as a parent, it's again not that you meant earlier you can rewire, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's so much easier to just do it right the first time. I mean, to go back
Oh,
and
yeah.
fix and anything, and again that transcends all parts of life also. To do it right the first time versus going back and fixing it, because the fixing,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about a human being, there's so many things, reputation that can be damaged. I mean, the amongst the other truly physical issues, financial issues, the moral issues, the reputation. There's so many things, and I say reputation twice because I mean, to me, what you're known for amongst your friends, that's huge. I mean, that's where people trust you or they don't, and you either deserve it or you don't, and that's why I say Denise doesn't have to brag. We'll do it for you. I mean, it really, it's we know you, and I would encourage anybody who finds this in the least bit interesting, which should be everyone with kids in that age. She knows what she's talking about. Reach out, and what's a great way to what's the best way to get a hold of you? How would people sign up for this?
Right now on the website is a wait list because I haven't scheduled the actual sessions yet.
Okay.
But get on the wait list, you'll definitely get informed.
Okay. Well, and depending on when people watch this, that wait list may or may not exist anymore. We may be in the first session, the 27th session. Hard to say. This will be out there for a long time. So in that case, what's the website? Denise?
So for youth, which is number 4, youth.life. And you can actually also I have a calendar out there, so you can schedule just a consultation.
Okay.
And you'll either see a wait list or the classes will be out there by the time you hear this.
Sure.
There is, phone number, email.
Okay.
There's multiple ways to get a hold of me.
All on the website.
But I just go to the website because that's
foryouth.life.
Yeah, it's easy to remember, and I love that I got the .life.
Yeah.
Extension. Because it's all about life. It's all about 4 youth's lives, but I'm just working through the parents.
Yes. Yes, we did talk about that earlier. How confusing that is for some people. Not sure why.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Yep.
I think maybe it's that subconscious pushing off.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be.
Oh, you want me to talk to them?
Yeah.
Isn't that why my kids go to school? So they can learn how to.
Yeah.
Right?
Have you gotten into the school system? Yeah. I get that a lot too.
Well, I bet.
I think one of the other things this program helps with is, parents just probably a lot of times feel like they don't want to be a hypocrite, or that they feel like they don't have enough personal knowledge themselves. So either they have the personal knowledge and they'd be a hypocrite to say you shouldn't do this, or they don't have the personal knowledge and they'd be like, well, why should my kids feel like they should listen to me if I'm just this goody two shoes?
That's a good point. That's a really good point, actually.
Yeah. I mean, my philosophy has always been, in terms of anything that I wish I had done different, I would say I'm not trying to make my kid like me. I'm trying to make him better than me. So I have no qualms about coming off as a hypocrite. I don't want him to have my flaws. I want him to have as few flaws as possible. And then anything I don't have my own personal knowledge, this is a good way. You have, it's not just you that's saying this. This is a group of people that you're meeting with, coming up with, hey, this is a good way to approach a topic. You're getting background in it, so that you come armed with facts rather than a lack of personal experience.
And I would like to think, coming out of any of those meetings, at the beginning or middle, at the end, you're going to develop relationships with the other parents in there, and you'll have common ground to talk to them, like, hey, my kid just said this, like, how do you think I should do it? If like you're having a little bit of nerves about, like, I don't know how to approach this, like, you have all these other people that you met with that can give some perspective as well.
I was going to ask that earlier, if you guys ever chat with each other outside of the workshops.
No, they do.
Well, but just exactly what you touched on, that, it's like, has your kid ever asked you this? Or, do you think this question's a little weird? Or, whatever.
Oh, do you mean on the topic?
Yeah. On the topic. I truly mean on the topic.
Kid teach his kid what flipping the bird was. tonight.
This is news to me now.
But that is a really good point. And a goal is to
More
create that.
resources.
Yeah, that. So even if you don't know any other parent who's talking with their kids about drugs, you guys each know at least 2 other parents now,
Right.
and then that will just keep growing.
Well, and that could be a terrifying conversation too between adults. If you didn't have this going on and your kid asked you something that you weren't comfortable answering, would you think to call one of these two and go just out of the blue without the
I
you
would
wouldn't
just call my mom.
right. But you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I
like
definitely would.
you feel like you kind of feel like a dad on an island. It's like, who can I talk to about this? It's not going to judge me and or offer. And even if they don't judge me, do they know what the answer is? I mean, do they have good advice? I mean, so you need to know someone. So I can see where that would be really, really valuable to just know you guys through her, I mean, or to know each other, I should say.
I should say how I clarify my information because I mentioned how I look for YouTube videos.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much stuff out there. So yeah, you could Google, ask AI some of these questions, but how do you know it's really true?
Mm-hmm.
My connections with the county, public health and the sheriff's department, the recovery community, and just other nonprofits in the area that are very focused on this topic. That's my what do you call it? Like my
It's your aim.
that's where I validate. Like I know, and I'm going to a class right now to become keep forgetting the name. It's a certified. Thank you.
CPP.
Yes, certified prevention professional.
Oh, okay.
So it's what I'm very embedded in what the government is doing on prevention.
Okay.
So I know it's a lot about what works, what doesn't work, and how they measure success. So it's vetted. That's the word I was thinking of.
Okay.
That's who vets the information. Okay. So I do find, I mean, there's a lot on the internet, right? You don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Right. So, but it's all vetted through the connections that I have with the county and that. Yeah.
Great. Well, for youth, not life. Any last words from any of you guys? Podcast wasn't too terrifying.
It's great.
Awesome. Denise, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bringing your crew and you guys coming in and sharing some ideas. And I think we know that Denise is trustworthy, if nothing else, that is a good resource for anybody looking for this kind of information. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks.